Hey, this is Eddie. I'm just finishing up at the UCW.
Get out of here. No one wants to know. Listen here. It's the Newfoundland Nightmare, and you're watching the Unofficial Maritime Podcast. Take it.
Thanks, man.
This is the Unofficial Maritime Wrestling Podcast. Feel the pain in the blast. Through the ropes, through the fight, Maritime Wrestling walls the night. The past, the present, the future. Maritime Wrestling never dies.
Welcome to the Unofficial Maritime Wrestling Podcast. But before we start, big thank you to Eddie Arsenault and the Newfoundland Nightmare, Justin Newhook, for that little intro there. And as usual, joined by Big Boss, Corey Robbie Show. What's going on?
Hey, buddy. How's it going, man? I wasn't sure I was going to get here this week, but here I am. So, unfortunately for everybody, enjoy.
Enjoy. There you go. Mark the Mark, what's going on?
Hello, everybody. Well, doing all right. Done work. Another week. Let's go. Let's do it.
The week starts on Monday. We're technically just Tuesday recording. It'll be out on Wednesday, but
Do you know
sure,
what
why
it
not?
is tomorrow? Do you know what
No.
it is tomorrow, Corey? No? It's
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Exactly.
Well, Thursday
getting
if
there.
you're listening to this on Wednesday. But
Oh, that's
other than
true.
that, Jason Casey, what's going on?
Oh, just listening to the two of you guys argue like usual.
Like an old married couple.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just trying to find
So
points.
if you're listening to this on Wednesday, happy hump day, everybody.
There you
Hump
go.
day.
Get some Timmies. That's for Corey Vote to it.
Timmy.
You fucking dipshit.
Timmy.
All right, let's get this started. We got the results from one of 5 shows this weekend. So we're going to get into the one that we do have the results for. It was the UCW show. On VIP, Rudy Lockhart beat Lincoln Steen. Also on VIP, NWO, this was Joey White and Dawson James. They beat AWOL. On the main card, Ethan Knight beat Justin Newhook. In a 3-way match, Madison Miles beat Ronnie Payne and Fiona. Channing Decker beat JP Sims. For the UCW tag team titles, Deuce and Dawson, they beat Robbie McAllister and Jonathan Cross. And the main event for the UCW heavyweight title, Hollywood Cole retained versus Chip Chambers. Let's get into this card right now. I'm not 100% sure. Was the Rudy match versus Lincoln for the VIP belt?
I didn't see anything that it said it was or it wasn't, so I'm really not sure.
So, since it was a win, I can't imagine it wasn't. But Rudy Lockhart,
Yeah.
what can you say about this guy? The future is now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I mean, we just had him on recently, so he is definitely a rising star for sure.
Yeah, he would come out. We would again. Thanks to Eddie Arsenault for giving us the results here. I was 100% sure what he said when Rudy Lockhart came out before the match with Ethan Knight and Justin Newhook, and he was throwing out an open challenge. But there's a story there. I don't know if the winner of this match would take on Rudy Lockhart. If so, that would be Ethan Knight. So look for that in the future. Thoughts on Ethan Knight getting a big win over a Justin Newhook?
I think it's a great idea. Like Hollywood Cole, Ethan Knight is starting to find his own. He's coming into his own. He's looking fantastic. There's a couple pictures out there floating around where he's making fun of Justin spitting the water in the air, but he looks absolutely massive in the picture. He looks fantastic. So him along with Hollywood Cole are part of the Jason Boa's Ring Road Ready program.
Yep.
So they're starting to fill out, starting to put muscle on, starting to look the part. So yeah, they look fantastic, and I can't wait to see where Ethan Knight goes. His in-ring performance is great, fantastic on the mic. He's Yeah, he's growing leaps and bounds. I can't wait to see where he goes and see how many titles that he starts to rack up here soon. I'm sure.
Yeah, I also wanted to add, like, honestly, what a VIP. That's crazy. Like, the future is now. Like, I don't know what your guys'
really
opinion
yeah.
is, but like,
No, I
if
agree.
Ethan Knight beats Justin Newhook, it's now or never.
That
Like,
wasn't on the VIP. That was the opener of the main card.
no.
The VIP had two
Yeah.
huge matches. Rudy
Yeah.
Lockhart getting a win over Lincoln Steen. Lincoln Steen's been doing this since the late 90s.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
he's got
exactly.
nothing else to prove in the Maritimes or in the wrestling world. Lincoln
Yeah.
Steen is one of the best. It's plain and simple. That's just fact right there.
Yep.
And
But-
for him to put over a rising star like Lincoln Steen shows, or
I
a
think you got
rising
it the
star like
wrong way.
Rudy Lockhart.
Lincoln managed to put himself.
Lincoln Steen is
Steen put over a young Lincoln Steen. That's fucking talent right there, baby.
Yeah.
If anybody
hear
in the
it for Steen,
Maritimes
baby.
would do it, it would be Lincoln Steen. You said it, Corey. Let's hear it
Yep.
for Steen, baby.
Lincoln Steen
Woo!
is an
But
up and
him-
comer. He is the future.
Yeah. But
And
him
he
putting
is
over
now,
someone-
and he is a legend. Holy shit!
he put over a Rudy Lockhart, and it shows that he's
Oh.
giving back to the business that gave him so much.
He's
Yeah.
passing the torch, right?
Yep.
It's old school versus new school, and he's passing the torch. That's exactly what
Yeah.
it is.
Been saying it for a couple of years now, but I always enjoy it. It's a privilege when you get to see Lincoln Steen on a card. He's
Yeah.
man, it's his gimmick, it's his mannerisms, the way he works the crowd. There's nobody better at those little things in the Maritimes than Lincoln Steen, and I'll watch him all day, especially on a show like Day Boys Championship Wrestling when they come around those matinee shows. He's so good at working the
Yep.
crowd with a bunch of kids and stuff. So yeah.
Gotta love him. Absolutely. Even when he does the finger, like, man, he's so
Yeah.
over. Like, there's
Oh,
no
yeah, yeah.
way.
Just the mannerisms, right? He doesn't have to open his mouth. It's just everybody knows. He has him on cue.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a powerful finger.
Oh yeah.
Women's three-way match. Madison Miles beat Ronnie Payne and Fiona. I'm not familiar with Fiona.
Neither
Fiona
of
is
us
from
are.
England.
That's what I
from
thought.
Norfolk, England. 5'8", 150, 24 years old.
Oh,
Okay.
young
Yeah.
girl then.
Yep.
Madison for years was the female ace in the Maritimes.
Yeah.
And she left to pursue a career in England and all over the world. And she was part of Mythos Ragnarok. She's back in the Maritime, and she kind of picked up where she left off, becoming the top female wrestler here. But I feel like her facing girls like Ronnie Payne and, I don't know if Mia's still wrestling, but if she could fight Mia and I think her and Chantel, I think their roles in the Maritimes are going to be, not putting over the young talent, but sharing their knowledge.
Sharing their knowledge.
Elevating young talent.
Yeah.
You don't have to put over somebody to elevate them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
It's almost like a mentorship. They start, you know what I mean? They have to start mentoring the next generation of female
And let's
talent.
be fair here. Madison's young.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
early mid-20s. Like Madison's not remotely done her wrestling career. So
No, I think she's just getting started again, honestly.
yeah, I feel the same way. It looks like you're having fun too. So it's
Yeah.
always great to see people in the Maritimes that are enjoying themselves. So
Absolutely. An oddball tag team match here, UCW tag titles, Deuce and Dawson. They beat Robbie McAllister and Jonathan Cross, which is an odd pairing. I think the outcome was obvious to me that Dawson James and Anthony Harlem would get the win. They're pushing Cross here. He's teaming up with the former WWE guy, feuding with Cole. I still say that Jonathan Cross is the guy to take the UCW title from Cole.
Yeah, I think you're right. At some point, I don't know what the storylines have in store for them at the moment, but I think you're right. At some point, I don't know how soon or if he comes off of Cole, but I think by the end of the year, the belt's around Cross's waist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even promoters seem to be really they really like him. Honestly, I think we've heard from from somebody as well, like a performer, that they were really into his stuff and like really enjoying him as a performer and really seeing how he is becoming one of those top guys, right?
It's a lot of people haven't seen Cross, especially in New Brunswick, and I think if you haven't seen him, get to a show that he's wrestling, because I've only seen him a couple times, but man, what a talent!
Oh, he's
Corey's
great.
sipping water. Look at him sipping his little water. He's sipping his water.
A little water. Main
Sipping
event.
his water.
Should have one of them
Main event that night.
things, or like a hamster.
Yeah, like a hamster. Little
Sugar knee hamster water.
sugar knee hamster
enough.
sucker. I love it.
Main event that night, Hollywood Cole beat Chip Chambers. They will be rematching at the next UCW show. You got two fantastic athletes here.
Oh,
that
yeah.
You just, it can't miss. And I think they could feud for the rest of the year, and I think they'd find a way to keep it fresh.
Yeah. Their talent is great in the ring. They're both great on the mic. Chip's got the experience. Everybody keeps saying that Cole's the big rising star. Everybody keeps forgetting Cole now has about 7 years experience under his belt. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't call him the rising star. I think he's still the future of Maritime Wrestling, but he's definitely no longer a rising star. He's here.
Mm-hmm. He is a star.
He's also working 2 to 3 times a weekend. Nobody works harder or more than Cole, so you gotta respect it. And I don't know, it's always, as soon as you hear that music hit, you know you're gonna have a laugh and see a solid match, because Cole brings a lot to the table. So it makes sense why all these promotions want to book him.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
100%.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Can't go wrong.
Nope. So, Jason, do you have we don't have the results, but do you have the cards for the NBWA show and the CCW shows?
Aren't we forgetting a match from UCW?
Yes,
No.
we're forgetting a huge match from UCW.
100%. I believe
Yeah,
Channing
like-
Decker returned to the Maritimes.
That's right. I didn't. It is right there. My fucking God. My bad. Channing Decker. No, we did not. I skipped right over it. Channing Decker beat JP Sims. Dave Boyce is now in a neck brace and a leg cast. So
He broke his back.
He fell 1,000 feet. Straight off the stage.
I saw this great picture of Julie and Roland, who are friends of ours. Dave Boyce getting his ass kicked on Julie in her wheelchair. Just like only Boyce can do that shit. And when I saw it, it was an Instagram story, and I was in the car waiting for Tracy to come out. We were going to grab breakfast. So I'm like half looking, half not. I'm barely awake. I'm like, what's going on here? Then I'm like, is that Boyce leaning on Julie? So I go back and I instantly burst out laughing. Tracy comes out to the car. I'm laughing. By now, it's 3 stories further along. Probably some half-naked chicks or something. God knows what she's looking at. She's like, what are you laughing at? So I had to go back and try to find it. So, man, it's one of those things that not many people in the Maritimes can do that kind of comedy stuff and have it be genuine. But Dave Boyce is that guy. He's a little stooge. He'll do whatever. He'll cheat. He just fires crowds up. And he'll be in Riverview, New Brunswick this Friday.
Yeah, he's on point. Yeah. I love Dave as a manager. He brings the joy and excitement, the comedy to every character. And I mean, JP Sims plays the part as well. He's the perfect
and he's keeping Timu. He's keeping Timu running with those expensive suits.
Yeah. Dave probably has shares in the company at this point.
Unreal.
They might have given him some shares.
Yeah, no.
But
again, you talk about people that don't get their due in the Maritimes. Dave Boyce is he's on that list. I think we're very lucky to not only get to watch him, but to know him and have had him on past projects that we've had, and hopefully it'll be a privilege to get him on this project, because man, I can tell you, if you're listening to this, Boyce, the door is always open. We love Boyce.
I'd love to get Boyce and Sims at the same time.
Oh,
Sims,
God.
eh?
Oh, man, they mesh so well together.
They're the perfect duo.
So
Oh, yeah.
I'll see if I can get Boyce to do an intro this Friday.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. That'd be
see if I can pull
fantastic.
Boyce. See if I can pull Boyce. Would have to be after the show.
Yeah. I mean, we can't not talk about hardcore Channing Decker either.
I was just about to mention
He's
that.
like unbelievable, right? Like
Living legend right now in Maritime in Canadian wrestling.
He just come back from
wrestling
Japan.
in Big Japan. Not only Japan, Big Japan, the top deathmatch promotion in Japanese wrestling right now. Big Japan wrestling. You know, just what can you say? He is a star, not just a Canadian wrestling star. He's a superstar all over the world.
Yeah.
Wrestled in GCW. Like this guy, like
TNA.
I believe I think it was a dark match in TNA. No, it was a real match, right?
No.
It was through another promotion, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But it was TNA that had, I don't know if I should use the word like hosted the event or something. Like they were airing it as a TNA event, but it was through another promotion, I think.
And I'm not sure. Like as of this recording right now, tonight is Dark Side of the Ring, the Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert episode. I believe he's in the episode. I don't know if he's Eddie Gilbert, but Channing Decker is in the episode, so he's still doing those.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's been on multiple episodes of Dark Side of the Ring.
Oh yeah. He's since season 1. He's been on episodes.
Nobody hasn't been on though.
This
The Dark Side
podcast?
of the Ring.
Yeah. All right. Here's a little trivia question for Mark. Who played Marty Jannetty in the Marty Jannetty episode?
Channing Decker.
Nope.
Oh, Marco Estrada.
You're getting closer.
I know this one.
You know this one, Corey? Who is it?
I can't remember, but I know this one.
I know a couple of them. Oh, Lil Blay.
No.
No? Oh, he doesn't go by that anymore.
So I don't remember. I think it's Mark. The sticker that Kit gave you was
Julian Young?
It was Julian Young who played
Really?
Marty Jannetty. Yep.
I did not know that.
And once you watch the episode, it's like blurred. You can totally fucking tell it's Julian Young. Like Julian
'cause he has
a
no hair.
specific way. No, he has a wig.
But it's his
enough.
mannerisms and the way
His
that
mannerism. He's so you can tell. Like if you play Where's Waldo? Who's Waldo?
Who's Waldo?
Play
I
Where's
don't know.
Waldo?
Who's
and you're
Waldo?
looking
Who the
for
fuck is
Julian Young,
Waldo?
you'll find him.
Hardcore
Sorry.
Waldo.
Autocorrect.
I'll knock the Waldo.
Final question about Channing Decker here. Do we see a North Pro revival
so.
with him? Because he was one of the favorites in North Pro, and then it just it stopped.
Yeah, I don't know if
I would pay a
it'd be
lot.
I don't know if it'd be a revival. I'm sure we do see him at some point. I think it would be smart to bring him back. He's a ticket seller for sure.
Like you think of the first big program in North Pro, it's Channing Decker and Dick Durning.
Yeah,
Like-
now that would be a cool match to see.
Yeah.
Bring Dick back.
Yeah,
Bring Channing back. My
So what
God,
you're saying is we want Dick.
we want
We do.
Dick.
We want Dick.
We all
Got
did,
it.
Corey.
Fucking
We all did.
Durning.
We all want Dick. Got it.
Mark's
Love
eyes
Dick.
just lit up.
Well, yeah.
So CCW
loves
and
Dick.
NBWA.
CCW. All right, let's start with the NWA. Mayhem and Minto 2. There was Jay Maverick versus Rugged Rick Owens. It was a tag team match of the Strong Brothers versus Hunter Sampson and Butter Love. River Valley Championship match, Kerry Killam versus Fantana. A tag team championship match, Crude Oil are the champions versus Oscar Ironside and Patrick O'Neal. And a heavyweight championship match, Larry Horowitz versus Zane Valentine.
So we're going to assume that no titles change hands on that night.
I would assume.
We would assume we don't have the results, but the not NBWA, but the CCW show the very next night.
Next night, Clash 32 Spring Breakout. Saw a match, Logan Green versus Spike Esty. Kerry Killam versus Slick McGrick. Chris Charters versus Rick Owens. a tag team championship match, Crude Oil versus the Strong Brothers. And the women's championship match, Salem Wilder versus Bitter B Moss. Now we do know that, or I know that Salem did beat Bitter B, and she is the new women's champion.
Yeah. So that's the only match we have the results for, which was, to me, you can do a lot of things with Salem Wilder as your champion. Whereas before, like, the lineage of that title goes from Chantel to Outside Girls to now we're at Salem Wilder. And I think that you can bring in Outside Girls for Salem Wilder to beat.
Yeah.
But I think there's a storyline there that you could do with Chantel winning the belt and Salem Wilder chasing the belt back. I think you can make Salem Wilder your ace female wrestler for CCW, and she could, by the end of her career, she could be a 5 or 6 time NBWA women's champion.
Yeah,
Now,
absolutely.
This might be a little bit of a spoiler. Like, obviously not an actual spoiler, but like I think they already brought out the poster for the next event, didn't they?
Yeah.
Is it possible?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe.
They did.
And it's like a newspaper, and you can see that it says local girl wins title or something like that.
Isn't it the Salem? It's the Salem Times show, right?
Right. Wilder Times.
Wilder Times or something like that.
Right. But they're already billing her as the local girl. Like, everybody's going to love her, right? She's from there or whatever, so.
Yeah.
It's,
I mean, it's just a kind of a thing saying that she did win, so I mean, but now who's she going to fight against is something different. There is a thing there saying that Danny Leo is debuting in CCW, so I don't know if that's the next show, but if that's the case, Danny Leo's fun to watch. So,
you gotta wonder if Alex Silva will be there now.
No, I think they're slated for May 24th. He won't be there because he's on his way to Germany.
Germany, that's right. So
he's wrestling the entire month of May. I think he has 3 shows in Germany for the German Wrestling Federation.
yeah, I did see his promo cutting there. So shame on us. We forgot something last week.
Yes,
the IHW Lucha shows in St. John.
That is correct.
That's on us. We completely forgot about that. Jason, what have you heard about these shows?
I didn't hear a whole lot about the Saturday. Friday, they got a decent turnout. Different crowd. It wasn't a full show. Almost seemed more like a demonstration. Everybody was wearing lucha masks, so it wasn't like AWOL versus, you know what I mean, Chris Charters or whatever. Everybody was in lucha. Everybody had different names. So it was more like a show at the Tequila Expo at the St. John Convention Center. They had one, I think it was an hour and 15-minute slot. So Friday night from 9 o'clock to 10:15. Then they had a Saturday afternoon one, and then another one Saturday night. Just to give the crowd something to watch. I mean, Tequila, Mexico, Lucha, it all fit together. As per the couple of guys that I was talking to, they were saying that it decent crowd, but they were really more so. The crowd was more so into the spots. They weren't really following the storylines, or they didn't care about like what the storylines or the matches were. It was mostly just, you know what I mean, what the big spots were and stuff, which is fine because I mean it technically wasn't a wrestling crowd. They were there to drink tequila. So I'm sure
sounds terrible.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm sure most of them were 3 sheets to the wind by the time, you know what I mean. Their matches started at 9 o'clock, so by that time, most of them probably already tasted quite a few things. But like I was telling the guys, the more eyes on the product, the better.
Absolutely.
100%.
You know what I mean? And if it's great that IHW did it because they're the ones that are putting the work in for every promotion in the Maritimes. Because regardless of whether you're in St. John or if somebody went to the Tequila Expo from Cape Breton or whatever it was, and they enjoyed themselves, they're going to look for promotions in their area to go out and watch a live show. So if a handful of people and we get a handful of new wrestling fans in the Maritimes, it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
I just found NBWA Mayhem and Minto 2 on YouTube. So if anybody wants to watch that, you can just search for it on YouTube.
The entire show?
The entire show is there.
Oh,
so
okay.
Seems like it.
somebody go and check that out.
I will-
Just search Mayhem and Minto 2, and Corey's going to...
I will be putting in the description, yeah.
Corey's a tank here, a beast.
A beast. A tired beast, but a beast nonetheless.
Beast nonetheless.
Before we get to our fan question of the week, a little bit of news and notes. Chantel is the brand new Best Entertainment Wrestling Interprovincial Women's Wrestling Champion. So a big congratulations to her.
Say that again. Inter what?
Don't say it. Don't say interprovincial. Don't be a dick, Mark. Typical dick.
Yeah. Mark wants dick.
It's a mouthful. He is a dick, and Mark loves mouthfuls of dick. So this works out.
Oh man,
You should see the smile on Mark right now. Though. What a punk.
What a way to take a beautiful moment. One of our own female talents goes to another promotion, another. Where is this promotion? I think it's in Maine, right?
Maine.
I would probably. I'm going to assume it's another province.
Interprovincial. It's in Canada.
Yeah,
Canada?
it's Saskatchewan, I think. Eh?
So she goes over to
2 events.
She goes over to something like that, wins a title, and Mark's like, "Say that again."
Leave it to Mark. Leave it to Mark.
What a Mark.
Leave it to Mark.
Jason, our fan question of the week today.
We haven't even gotten to the upcoming shows yet.
Upcoming
Do
shows.
the upcoming shows, Jason. Let's do it.
So BEW is in Saskatoon, by the way.
Where the
upcoming shows this weekend: the IHW Tag Team Mayhem, May 2nd, at the Coverdale Rec Center in Riverview. I believe
where they sell schooner.
Where they sell schooner, I believe. That Corey is going to the show.
No, I'm not going. He is.
I'm going, yeah. So I'll be there Friday night, and I will bring results next week.
Perfect. Also, May 2nd in Kingston, Nova Scotia, United Wrestling at the Credit Union Center has a show. They're having a hardcore dog collar match between Riddick Stone and Thad Howitt. That should be pretty interesting. They've also got a special meet and greet with WW alumni Eugene and Robbie McAllister, as well as NWA star Nick Andrews.
Okay.
So that'd be pretty cool to see, I think. Riggs and Deuce are going to be there. AWOL's wrestling that show as well, so it should be a pretty good time. May 3rd, East Coast Pro Wrestling, ECPW, Coal Town Carnage, and New Waterford, Nova Scotia has a pretty good lineup. We got a match of Rudy Lockhart versus Ethan Knight. They have a mixed tag team match of Robbie McAllister and Ronnie Payne versus JP Sims and Vanessa Craven, which is their champion. And they have a heavyweight championship match, Moondog Dylan Davis versus Lincoln Steen, who's their champion.
That should be a good one.
With a ringside special enforcer, WWE legend Jacques Rougeau.
Ooh.
He's the Mountie.
The Mountie. Nick, NWA alumni, Nick Andrews will be there as well. New Hook is going to be there. Jonathan Cross. So the card looks fantastic. I think it's going to be a fun time.
Super show.
Yeah, so we'll definitely have some results next week, and we'll fill everybody in. Now, Corey, you can go to your fan question.
All right. So, Jason, what's the fan question?
All right, we got a question via email by a gentleman named Charles LeBlanc, and he asked, have you ever been to a show or seen something happen and it felt like a history in the making?
Yes. 100%.
All right,
Yep.
Corey. then
I'll
right
go
ahead.
first. I'll go first.
All right, you go.
Corey
first.
goes first.
I'll take it. I'll take it because I'm scared Corey and I have the same answer. Corey, you promised me that you're going to tell me if it's the same answer.
I promise you.
All right. I'm kind of going to be.
Do you want me to give you a hint of my answer first?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't because I'd rather give my answer
Okay.
and see. So my answer is from the 27th of May, 2013.
Not the same one at all.
No.
So we go to this Grand Prix show. Corey and I, a few other people were with us, but I remember Corey and I were there. I think BT was there. Steve.
BT was with us. Yep.
Rene Dupree defeats Seiya Sanada for the Gaora TV title.
Yep. I'm so proud of you that you got the name right.
Thank you. Did I pronounce it right? Good.
You did. From All Japan Pro Wrestling, by the way.
Like, to see a title that's got history in Japan, in the Maritimes, to see it change hands, and the way that it changes hands for that one, Renee is working for All Japan. Seiya Sanada's, I think, a young boy is what they would have called him at that point, or barely not a young boy.
He was on his way. He was still young.
This guy's legit now. Been in major promotions. At this point, he's in All Japan a bit. Renee's in All Japan. They bring this title over. The show a few days before was in PEI. Keiji Muto was at the show in PEI.
Yes,
like
that's incredible.
Like you think about a fact like that, you got these guys, big names, end up being big names, and Renee is a big name in and of himself. But to have that title change happen in the little arena in Colquang, New Brunswick, in front of all of us, that for me felt like a history in the making, because I can't think that there would have been any Japanese titles changing hands in the Maritimes, maybe in the 70s or 80s, but it had been a long time, and who knows if we ever even see that again. Like, that's just amazing. So for me, that moment was, I was like, I remember being like, what? Nobody thought the title was going to change hands. And you know, when you go to house shows or whatever, like, yeah, that shit doesn't happen. It happened in Colquang, and the crowd, Corey and I were like, what? It was a very memorable experience.
So
and then
you're misremembering it, because I was not there that night.
What?
I started to go the very next week.
Oh, okay.
So it was you, BT, and I don't know who. I know you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was there the next week because I believe you were like, don't you like Japanese wrestling? I'm like, I love Japanese. Do you know this Seiya Sanada guy? I'm like, yeah. He's like, he was there. I'm like, what? Like, I couldn't believe it, because I love Japanese wrestling. So here's a little story from that. The very next week, I'm not a big taking pictures with wrestlers or getting autographs. I go to enjoy the show. I don't want to bother them. Funny because story. Shout out to Adam Story.
Hey, Adam. Story, baby.
Corey's pick here and my pick both involve me taking a picture with wrestlers. So the following week, Renee's there taking pictures and signing autographs, and I'm eyeballing that belt. This is a Japanese belt. I love Japanese wrestling, and it's not like this belt was this legendary belt. The belt was relatively new, still used by All Japan. So I'm looking at the belt, and Renee just like turns at me and he looks at me dead in the face, and I go, "Can I touch the belt?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he gives me the belt and he tries to rib me. So I like touch the belt and he goes, "What are you doing?" He's like trying to scare me. Then he laughed about it. I'm like, "Yeah, well, now I need a picture with you." So there's a picture on Facebook of me with long fucking hair.
Hair down to his ass crack.
Oh, yeah. Fucking long hair straight out of the metal scene. And there's a picture of Renee putting up the Too Sweet, holding up the Gouda TV title. So I can say I legit touched a Japanese belt.
Cool.
Thank
But
you,
that's
Renee.
not your moment.
That is not my moment.
All right, Corey.
In 2018, I had been out of the Maritime wrestling scene for many years. And I go to this show in Moncton, UCW show. And it was in Moncton because it was at the Lions Club.
Cool.
I remember that was my first time at the Lions Club, and this is my first show. I had never been to a show where they're like, throw streamers. So we get to the door. This lady hands me like a dollar store streamer, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? And me being like, I'm better now, but this is me when I'm in my late 20s, I believe,
Still a douchebag.
I would have been,
He's
I
still
would
a
have been
douchebag.
30. I would have been 30 that year. So
Prime douchebaggery.
yes. Oh yeah, I'm a douchebag. So she hands me this streamer, and I'm like, "What's this?" She's like, "Oh, it's to throw at your favorite wrestler." I hand it back to her. I'm like, "The Ultimate Warrior died in 2014. Thank you." And so this show was
Oh my!
yeah.
God,
So
what
this
a
show,
Douchebag. What
Yeah.
a douchebag.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I can't make it up. Like the guy's my best friend, but he's such a prick. God damn,
I
that's
am.
funny though.
and the lady was just like, "Okay."
Yeah, what do you
Like,
say
she
to
didn't know what
that?
to say.
I
I'm
wouldn't
an
even
idiot.
say that, Corey.
She's like, I'm a Hulkamaniac.
I always try to get a cheap pop, get a cheap joke in, and I thought she'd laugh, and she had no fucking clue what I was talking about. But that show was the Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne show,
Mhm.
and the tickets that I had bought came with a meet and greet, so you got to meet them and take a picture with them. And Mark was actually telling me the story of the next day. He comes over to my apartment, and the first words that come out of my mouth are, "Never meet your heroes." They were great. They were fucking great. They put on great matches, shook our hands, took time signing autographs, taking pictures. Tyler Bate was shorter than me, and I probably outweighed Pete Dunne by like 150 pounds at the time. And the picture that was taken by me, the girl that I was seeing at the time, was scrolling through Facebook, and she's like, "I never even noticed it was you. I just thought it was 3 wrestlers." Because at the time, I was a lot bigger than I was right now. Big scraggly beard, fucking hair was all a mess with this fucking flannel shirt. It looked like
She
I
thought
looked
you were
like a
playing
dollar.
a Viking.
She thought I was playing a dollar store version of Mick Foley, is what she was trying to tell me. And she never even noticed that it was me. It was me and
Third-
2 wrestlers.
Third member of TDT.
Yeah. So yeah,
That's right.
So
He's
that
like the
night,
Spike Dudley of the team.
so
Yeah.
that night, Tyler Bate faced Marco Estrada, and he lost. And this was a UCW heavyweight title match.
Nice.
And also, the main event that night was, I don't remember if it was for the belt. I don't think it was. But the reason this is my pick is Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate were both signed to WWE. They were WWE superstars.
Right.
And Pete Dunne was the WWE UK champion. And he had that belt with him. And you could tell that WWE sent him with a replica because the leather was very stiff.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to send him there with the shoot belt. So they gave him a replica to bring to the show. One of the things I'm a dumbass when it comes to shit like this, and me, it's attention to details. And they ran a storyline that night. So American Patriot. This is before Troy Merrick became the concussion dealer or the dream killer. He was the American Patriot. He was on commentary. And they ran a storyline with Casey Williams. And that he had stopped a drunk driver from crashing into, like, it was a story. I don't know if this is true, but they really, like, look at this hero. And Troy Merrick comes into the ring, gives him the tombstone pile driver, and they had to carry him off on a table because they didn't have a stretcher. And management banned no, it gets better. It gets better. So for me, attention to detail, right? Management banned the tombstone. The tombstone is illegal. So Pete Dunne's finishing move is the bitter end, which is the pump handle into the face buster. So Pete Dunne revealed a new finishing move, which is the bitter end into a tombstone pile driver. So the same night, they just fuck the rules. And I just remember looking at the guy that I was with, and I go, ban that move like an hour ago. Wrestling. So that, but just the fact that they got 2 current WWE stars, I was like, man, the Maritimes have made it.
Yeah.
Like if you look at what Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate were doing, they did a few independent shows, not a lot, and the Maritimes were one of them. And credit to Marcus Burke on that one because he made the deal, and he was with you. This this is right before North Pro started. It was like, I think April of 2018, and like I think January
2020.
27th it was January 17th, 2020. North Pro would start, and so that's my pick. Sorry for the long story, but
That's all right. Mark, you can go ahead.
Yeah, well, honestly, like
Has to do with the
kinda
giant,
thought
has
about
to.
it.
Oh yeah.
It does not. What? Is there one? I don't think there is. I don't think there is this time. Honestly, like being around Maritime Wrestling for the short amount of time that I have, I think the one thing that kind of gave me that type of feeling that I saw something that wasn't going to happen again, it kind of like it's kind of one thing that leads into another, and it would actually be the Marcus Burke retirement show where he faced off against Dylan Davis. There's a lot that happened that night, like emotionally.
That match alone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was wild. And, it's as I mentioned, like just emotionally as a person that went to North Pro shows regularly, like, I missed maybe one since 2021. And like, it was because I don't even know. There was something going on anyway.
You only started in
You were
22, right?
you were going to a bachelor party or a fucking wedding or
Bachelor
something.
party. That's
Man,
right.
I remember because I ribbed you about it because I'm a douchebag.
I know.
Mark,
I
you
know.
only started in 2022. 2021, there was only 2
2022?
shows.
Okay, yeah, that's possible. Yeah, because it was post-pandemic. That's right. Yeah. And yeah, like just to see that happen, and then the post-show of
Sick.
the company's been sold, and like this is going on. We were like, whoa! Like emotionally, I was just
Oh,
shit.
the run-ins, man.
Yeah, I
Oh,
know.
yeah.
And, like,
Incredible. Durning's
Yeah.
music hits. It's like, whoa,
Yeah.
Gary
Yeah,
Williams
Gary
hits the
Williams.
ring. Like, my heart was just pounding. It was
Yeah.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
amazing,
Oh,
man.
I
That
I
was a
think it
special
was
night.
the best. Like people would say, "Oh, it was overbooked," and sometimes that's fine.
Yeah, fuck.
Sometimes in a match like this, it's
it was
completely
worth
fine.
it. It was worth it.
Peter Smith or Brody Steele,
Yeah, exactly.
like making the run in. Like I think Dick Durning had a great reaction. I think the one I felt the most proud of being a part of is Gary Williams coming out and the crowd starting to chant "Wild Man," and he literally has to stop and look at the crowd, and you can almost read his mind. He's like, "Holy fuck, they remember me." Who could forget Wild Man Gary Williams?
Legend.
He was the ace of the Maritimes for years. Like he was the fucking man. Pardon my French. He was the man. All right. And there was very few. Peter Smith, Brody Steele, he's one of them. Cowboy Mike Hughes, Trash Canyon. Some of those guys, Lincoln Steen. That Maritime Wrestling was not healthy. Like in those early to mid 2000s when, Real Action goes out, and like for a bit there, all we had was mainstream wrestling. Thank God we had that. But for New Brunswickers, we didn't really have mainstream wrestling because Doolittle's, I think it was in Halifax and all these different places. But for Wildman Gary Williams to get that ovation, and it makes you feel good that they've always said that Moncton is a smart mark town. But credit to the Moncton fans for showing respect where it's deserved.
Yeah, and I think I kind of want to refer now. If you guys have listened to previous episodes, I did mention how Wildman Gary Williams had such an aura about him, and you laughed at me. But at that very moment, you would know what I'm talking about when he was standing there, and people were flipping, and it was just insane as a moment, man. And to see all of those like former Maritime wrestlers, like, he's still wrestling, he's still showing up once in a while. So, but awesome. I'd never seen them. I had a haircut next to Brody Steele this one time, but that's about it. I was looking at him because I kind of knew who he was, but that's about it.
That's the line of the night right there. I had a haircut with Brody Steele.
I had the Brody Steele one time.
It was the very it was the Brody Steele haircut. Like he was getting it. It's getting ready.
Yeah. I was
So,
watching
that's kinda
this
funny.
week. I was watching this week on New Scott's channel. By the way, 9 p.m. tonight. Yeah, New Scott. We got him on the channel. It was a fucking fantastic one. But after
Won't be the last
recording,
one.
won't be the last one. New Scott is not all heroes wear capes, and I can't say that enough about New Scott because he kept the Maritime wrestling scene alive when it was dead. After having done the interview, I went back and watched the wrestling reality show. There's a line that Brody Steele says about St. John, and he's like, St. John, it smells like sulfur, and sulfur smells like farts. And then there's a clip of him on a news radio, and he's like, I'm sitting next to Cowboy Mike Hughes. I'm like, is that you? And he goes, no, I thought it was you. I was like, oh, we're in St. John. So I had never heard that ever, that St. John smells like sulfur. But Brody Steele, I feel bad that I laughed. It's such a good line.
Good line.
So Jason, you're
man.
next.
I'm excited to hear what Jason's moment is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Actually, mine's North Pro as well. Little bit different. It still gave me the feels. The aura in the crowd. The entire place was electric. It was the creation of the Maritime Wrestling's power couple when Justin proposed to Emily.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
That was probably the coolest moment ever. Bringing everybody else in the ring. Emily had no clue what was going on. She looked like a deer in headlights in the ring because Burke was
So true.
going against Dylan, and New Hook and them came out, and they're trying to clear the ring, and she didn't know what to do. She had no spot information. She was just like, and then to watch it, and from the crowd, with her back to him, and he was down on one knee when she turned around. It was unbelievable.
Everybody popped. Everybody popped.
I mean, they're the Maritime Wrestling power couple, especially now that Justin and Connors owns North Pro. It was something special, and for them to do it in a ring was in front of a crowd was fantastic. First of all, but it brought everybody into the moment. It was unbelievable. That's by far one of my favorite moments ever.
What's Matt Connor's girlfriend's name?
Caroline.
So I believe it was her. She was behind us with
Possibly.
the camera recording. And I remember looking over my shoulder because she's right behind me. She's literally behind me. And I looked and I'm like, that's the girl that was selling t-shirts. I'm like,
Yeah, okay.
I'm like, something's coming up here. And I think it was Mark that was next to me. I'm like, I think something big's gonna happen. And then all of a sudden Justin gets on one knee. And I think there's an audible gasp, oh, and then everybody just popped. It was a moment not only for them, I think the fans enjoyed the fuck out of that moment. It was just such a cool moment to see. And that's how the season ended.
Yeah,
I believe that was the first TV taping, right? That was 2022.
I believe it was, yeah.
September 23rd, 2022 was the day.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
It was absolutely fantastic. It was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, it was Corey's attention to detail that brought him to who is selling t-shirts right now?
I'm putting the math together. You see all the numbers in my head. I'm oh.
The profits are going down.
And then I look at Mark and I'm like, the Tombstone Pile Driver was banned.
Why did he use it?
I just realized that 5 years later.
In reflecting on this while I was driving home today, I thought of a few other moments that I just want to talk about. And one of them is actually Gary Williams. When Titus finally faced Gary Williams in IHW in Irishtown. I remember thinking, this is the guard. This is the passing of the guard. This is the vets, the legit guys that have made it. And Gary was still in his prime, let's be honest. Just cut, chiseled. But it felt like this new startup promotion was getting the nod that it was okay.
The seal of approval.
That was up there for me because it was it was a cool one for me for sure. But there's a handful of them that we've been lucky enough to be at in New Brunswick.
Corey with an E.
One-
You said you had a few more there. Go ahead.
Yeah, one, and I know Corey's gonna with no E is gonna be like, fuck you.
I
PC.
swear to
There
God, if
is-
it's at the Capitol Theater, I'm going to kick you in
It
the
is at the
toe.
Capitol Theater.
Oh my God.
PCO being the mystery opponent versus Decker and Durning.
Yeah.
For the moment, it was cool. I remember looking at Corey. This is the first time, by the way, I ever met Tracy. And I looked to the right, and Corey's just shaking his head. I'm like, this is a great moment. Sorry for Maggie in the background. Must be a
That's
cat
all right.
outside. And I just remember Corey going, oh, they're going to put it on PCO. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a huge name. Like, this is the first North Pro Championship match ever.
Yeah.
The advertised match. And I remember it was a cool moment, but at the same time, we never got the payoff of that final rivalry. That final match between Decker and Durning. Circumstances just kept fucking the storyline up. Whether it be COVID, whether it be injuries, whether it be whatever it is. It just, like from a business standpoint, I understand why Marcus Burke put the belt on PCO. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Pierre Calwolette, he was in the WWF. He was Quebecer Pierre. He was a tag team champion. He was in NWA, TNA. He had been everywhere. So, that was a big moment just for that.
Was that, I have a question. Was that at the time when he was having visa issues between the States and Canada? I think that might have also been a factor, right?
I think it was actually the time when it would have been really tough for him to go to the States because COVID was rampant.
Yeah.
It was the middle of the
I think it was
Omicron. Oh, here's a word you haven't heard in a while. Omicron. It was the middle of that Omicron outbreak when it was like it was really spreading. And
Are we
that
talking
show
about-
was at the fucking Capitol. Decker coming off the balcony.
Oh, man.
Fucking put the belt on PCO.
Are we talking
Still
about
mad.
why PCO didn't come back?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Oh,
he
yeah.
signed with TNA.
That's
That was
what I
the big
mean,
deal.
yeah.
He
So
signed
then
with
basically he would have required to stay in the States and couldn't come
TNA
into Canada, I think, at the time.
TNA is a Canadian promotion now.
Yeah, I think at that time they were taping in Toronto.
Were they? Okay.
Yeah.
They were.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I just remembered that something was going on there. Maybe he couldn't get into the States and it was the other way around.
Should have fucking put the belt on Decker.
No.
Baloney.
That was
Decker or Durning, either one. I was so
that's what they had
disappointed.
said. That's what Marcus Burke had said. Is he signed with TNA? He has commitments there now. He can't come back, so the belt is vacated. And the 8-man tournament that filled out the entirety of season 2022, the first season on Bell for North Pro.
Yeah.
Already fucking nostalgic times for me. Those North Pro shows.
Oh, so good.
Because COVID really fucked some shit up because I was getting back into it. And that's an understatement, yeah. But I was really getting back into Maritime wrestling, and it's funny how things work though because I couldn't go to Maritime wrestling because of COVID. But thanks to New Scott, I got to go back and watch everything. And I remember IHW was releasing 2 episodes a day, one in the afternoon and one at night, 6 o'clock at night, I believe. And it'd be these full shows. And those were my days. I'd get up, go grab a couple of coffee so I can just have to leave the house once. And basically I'd watch some IHW and at night I'd watch either NWE.
I'm only going to leave the house once. Christ, I'm going to be a good boy. I'm going to get
That's a COVID statement.
donut.
Yeah, the first time I saw North Pro was the show right before the lockdown. I think it was March 14th, and the entire lockdown hit on the 16th or the 20th of March. And
it's a funny story with that one. We went to both shows that weekend. There was an IHW show and there was a North Pro show. And the IHW show really went off without a hitch. I think the only name that didn't show up was Chris Charters. He was going by Chris Hicks at the time. Other than that, IHW went off without a hitch. Had a brand new IHW heavyweight champion. I believe it's the last time that Brody Steele met Cowboy Mike Hughes. And then after that, on the next night, to tell you the difference that 24 hours makes, no match survived.
Oh, it was
None.
crazy.
The main
Yeah,
event
yeah.
was supposed to be a death match between Channing Decker and Dick Durning. That's the first time they got messed up there. It was going to be for the UCW heavyweight title. A pre-Moondog, Dynamite Dylan Davis. I think this was his coming out party because it showed that he could hang in the main event. Like he
Yeah.
stepped up. He stepped up, and it's the only good match from that show because everything was. I remember Lincoln Steen versus Wesley Pipes. He was going by Security Craft at the time, and it was like, who's the babyface and who's the heel here? Like that was my one question. It was like a very confusing match, and they did what they could with what they had because the world was going to shit.
Yeah, yeah. And that was my first match. Well, my first North Pro match. My first match of Maritime Wrestling since like mid-90s. So
And that hooked you a little bit.
yeah, I mean, I was like, oh, like, you know what I mean? This is cool. Like, so for a long time, I was the only person in my clique that watched wrestling. So going to a wrestling show by myself was stupid. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't going to go.
Right.
So then my sister started dating my soon-to-be brother-in-law, and he's into wrestling. So we're like, you know what? The world is going to shut down soon. Let's go to wrestling. You know what I mean? My nephew was starting to get into wrestling, and he was getting older. So we got all the guys together, and we went to a show, and they were all like, holy shit, there's shit like that going on here? And then, of course, boom, the whole world shut down. So, yeah, once they started having shows again, we were hooked, and you know what I mean? So,
Here we are.
yeah.
Man, when we came back,
oh, my God.
it exploded, honestly. Like, there's so many people that came out of nowhere. And
Oh, it's because
they're
everything
good.
was shut down for so long. People were like, okay, well, we have to start, one, supporting local, and two, now that we can actually start attending live events, whether it's music or wrestling or hockey, or it doesn't matter. Like, we have to start supporting these companies and doing things, because at that point we're like, who knows when we're going to get locked down again? So if there's a live show on, go to the live show. If you're a wrestling fan, go to the wrestling. If you're a hockey fan, go to that next hockey game, because for a while everything was touch and go. Everything was, oh yeah, you can go do stuff, and then a month and a half later everything's locked down again. So
I think Maritime Wrestling got a big boom in the mid 2010s, like 2015. Like IHW's on fire. Then Burke leaves IHW, and all of a sudden you got two huge promotions doing great business. But then you got the outside promotions doing, like NWE's, like the Miramichi territory, ECPW's around, Red Rock Wrestling's around. Like, you got this real boom period in Maritime Wrestling, and it was sort of starting to go back down. But then everything just canceled out. Just like 2020, 2021, we got almost nothing. Like a show here, show there. UCW like continued to do shows during the pandemic, but it was like very like, and a lot of shows got canceled too or postponed. But I just remember like once it came back, like in 2021, we got a few shows, and it was like almost relieving, like almost like we still had to wear a mask and all that, but it was almost like, man, can we get back to being normal? And I remember going to a hockey game with Corey. My first LC Puck Duck Hawks versus Miramichi Northman game in Rishibuktu. And Corey had the line of the night. He looks around, he looks on the other side, sees not a single person is wearing a mask, and he goes, well, one thing Maritimers know how to do is going back to normal.
No, but Jason nailed it, though. Like, it's not something, even to this day, I don't take for granted. Being able to go to a hockey game or go to a wrestling show, or a week from Friday's North Pro. And when I think about that show, like Connor Smith's going to be there, Jason's going to be there, Charlotte Dwayne are going to be there. Corey is the only one missing it, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but
I'm
all
pissed
of my
for that
friends, family, Connor, Caleb, everybody's going to be there. And it's such a social thing, and seeing Eddie and everybody else. But not something I take for granted, that we can get together and enjoy some wrestling shows, even if I got to put up with Mark. It's worth it.
yeah. And
I'm all right.
Look at that face.
What I like about the wrestling shows and stuff is the amount of friends that you make. You know what I mean? Because everybody's there for the same reason, so everybody has the same interest, right? So it's cool. You know what I mean? It's not so taboo anymore to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Ah,
At one
to
It's
me,
the
time-
it was
only
never.
place where you can go dance and chant Dixie Lee and not look like a dipshit. I,
dude,
love,
that was so
I
fun.
love it.
It's funny because the reason like I fell in love with senior hockey is because there was a very similarity to maritime wrestling where you don't make friends, you make a community. You
Yeah.
become
Oh,
this like little
100%.
family. And all of a sudden, like with hockey, it's the same thing where we like as Hawks fans, before we did the BSHL podcast, there were guys and girls that we became friends with because they were Hawks fans too, and they're like us. They followed the Hawks everywhere. Then we started becoming like not Hawks fans, just we're gonna support the entire league, and we had friends everywhere. We'd like go. It's like okay, we're going to Dalhousie today. Okay, Peltier is gonna be there. Travis is going to be there. Like, I hope we get to talk with Valcourt and Jessica and all these guys. And I'm getting nostalgic just thinking about it because hockey season just ended and I'm already missing it. But it's the same thing with wrestling. Like you go to Northborough, you're going to meet Roland and Julie. You might see them at Dalhousie games too. But Eddie, who, thanks again to Eddie for recording the
Boo guy.
Dusty Book intro. Boo guy, yeah, picture guy, Jeff. There's a group of people where we've just become friends with, and it's awesome.
It's
Yeah,
kind
and
of
you-
funny how I know a bunch of those people from outside of the shows too, but then you meet them there and you're like, hey, what are you doing here?
We're
Here
all
for
wrestling
the-
fans.
Like, no way. Me too. No way. Like, no shit, but like,
Yeah, and then after a while, you get to meet your like Corey says, your community of friends and of the fans. But then you get to meet some of the wrestlers and stuff, and then they become friends. And then it's not so much about just supporting a promotion; you start supporting your friends. So if they're wrestling in another city for a different promotion, you're like, well, I'll also go down and watch him wrestle because it's putting money in his pocket. So. And I mean, that's how it started with me. You know what I mean? You start with North Pro, then it went to IHW, and I've been to a Kaizen show. I've been to UCW. I've done Supernova. I've done Dave Boyce. You know what I mean? So
You've done Dave
Boyce?
Boyce?
Oh,
Holy fuck!
jealous.
You send me a picture later of that.
no, that's just between me and Boyce.
I think my favorite moment of like something like that is last summer. Me, Corey, Cheryl, I believe, was there. We went to the Dave Boyce Championship Wrestling show, and there was this clique of North Pro fans that were like in a circle with Justin Newhook, and I just like joined the circle, and Newhook's just like, "This is awesome! All you guys came," and he was like, and "This sounds horrible." Circle came, and you came to the show.
No. Oh no.
That he was like over the moon. He's like, man, you guys are supporting local wrestling. This is great. And we're like just it's fun to see like the wrestlers being like supportive in seeing guys and girls go to the shows and all that because at the end of the day, without them doing what they do, we're not going. Like if you're giving me wrestlers that aren't worth anything, I'm not interested. And the Maritime Wrestling team, there's something like every single performer in the Maritimes, there's something. They're not the best wrestler. Maybe they have a great character. Like there's something to sink your teeth in everybody in the Maritimes. And if they're like just brand new, remember seeing Dominic Warrior. Dominic Warrior was just getting started. Green as goose shit, as they would say. And now he's someone that I'm genuinely looking forward to see where he goes.
Yeah.
Just he's one of those guys that he's on his way. He's on his way. And him being the all territory elite champion in Real Savage, and there's a few guys like that. Look at Big Bad LG, and I look at some of these guys that's like, this is literally Maritime's future, and we're watching it right now.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Awesome to see.
Yeah, I remember the first time we went to Wrestling in Windsor, Little Blaze promotion. It was his very first show. I think they're up to Wrestling in Windsor 7 or 8 at this point now. Yeah. But it was his first show. He didn't know if it was going to fly. You know what I mean? He brought in New Hook. He brought in a few boys. And so Charlotte Dwayne and I figured, what the hell? They're friends. Let's go check it out. It's in Windsor, Nova Scotia. It's like a 3.5-hour drive, but whatever. It's a drive. Let's go support them. So we pull in the parking lot. We get there early because we don't know how long it's going to take, what the traffic's going to be like. So we get there and it's like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the evening. So we pull into the driveway and they're all outside talking or whatever. And anyway, I roll my window down and I start yelling in the parking lot. New Hook's in the parking lot. I think JP was there, Blay. And the first thing out of New Hook's mouth is like, "What the fuck are you guys doing here?" And I'm like, "We're here to support you, man. Like that's, you know what I mean? That's what it's all about." So yeah, it's so now he kind of expects us to pop up every once in a while. So yeah, but
we've talked about it, but the four of us need to get in the car and make it do a trip to a show. I know in Nova Scotia, in Spring Hill.
Yeah.
In July. I believe it's July 19th.
We're doing it for PEI. PEI.
Well, we're doing it for PEI as well. So that'll be the first one. So June 7th, expect the Unofficial Maritime Wrestling Podcast to be there. But July, we need to do that too for Spring Hill.
A bunch of
definitely if I can, if I'm not working for sure, 100%.
Absolutely. So yeah,
I mean,
that went.
We could definitely do that. Definitely do that for Northborough too if Corey wasn't being a dipshit and not showing up. But
you're telling me I have to choose between making money or doing what I really love, and that's watching wrestling. It's a hard decision because I need to make the money.
Such a dipshit.
Yeah,
no, I'll agree with you guys. Go right ahead and rip the fuck out of me. I agree.
Hopefully something happens at the last minute, and maybe he's off that weekend or something.
Hopefully.
Random.
Yeah,
hopefully not.
Never.
Hopefully not, but you never know. That's all we got,
right.
Corey?
That's all we got for today. I think this is the longest episode we've done so far, 1 hour and 5 minutes. So again, thank you to Justin Newhook and Eddie Arsenault for the intro. And tonight at 9, New Scott is on the channel, so you can't miss that one.
An hour and a half interview.
Hour and 31 minutes, yeah. It's our second longest interview. I think Chris Cook has the record for 134. I'm a numbers mark, so what are you going to do? But other than that, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for the support. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and all that fun
point.
stuff.
Hold on.
I got one more thing to close the podcast that we missed today.
In the podcast, go.
We didn't talk about the beer garden at UCW.
What?
I'm just kidding, guys. Jesus. You don't remember the last episode when I said April 26th, beer garden? It was about UCW. There was supposed to be a beer garden there.
Oh, I forgot.
On that note, we'll be back.
We will see you next week. We got a very big interview coming up next week. No spoilers yet, in case things fall through. But we're very hopeful for this one, and this might just be the biggest so far. So look forward to that. With that, thank you, gentlemen, for joining me, and we will see you next week.
Later.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and remember to catch us here every Wednesday for a new episode. Please visit us on Facebook, Instagram, and more. Links are in the description. See you next time.
Don't miss out and don't be late. Hear wrestling talk that's first rate. Wednesday nights at 6 o'clock.